Hello YouTube, how's it going? This is the crossover and I'm back with another video. Today is going to be another one of my individual scouting reports for the 2022 NBA draft. And in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at G League Ignite's combo guard, Dyson Daniels. So without any further delay, let's get straight into the video. Moving on, we do have some stats to cover regarding Dyson Daniels. He is 18 years old, stands at about 6 feet 7 inches, weighs about 200 pounds, and has a 6 foot 10 inch wingspan. Very impressive physical profile for the combo guard. You really like to see that wingspan along with that 6'7" height. And it really gives him certain advantages on the court that we will discuss later on in his strength section. However, moving on to his on-court stats, this is his first year with the G League Ignite, as he is 18 years old, where he has averaged a pretty modest 11.3 points, 6.2 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 1.9 steals, and 2.4 turnovers per game. Very solid stat line for Dyson Daniels. A very versatile, very overall sound player. Regarding his efficiency, it's not so pretty, as he is shooting about 44.9% from the field and 73.7% from the free throw line. Earlier on in the season, his free throw numbers were absolutely awful. They were below 50. They were well below 50%. I'll just leave it at that. So it's very impressive to see him improve his free throw percentage as the G League Ignite season has gone along. However, he is still shooting a pretty bad 25.5% from the three-point line. I apologize for not being able to find any other advanced statistics that I usually like to list. You guys know I like to list my three-point attempt rate or effective field goal percentage or their usage rate. I was just unable to find any of that regarding the G League Ignite, which is kind of weird concerning it is, and technically an NBA affiliate. I'd imagine that the advanced stats would be out there somewhere, but I was looking all over the internet. I couldn't find them, so this is the best I can do. And I feel like even without the advanced stats, I feel like even just looking at his stats, I feel like you get a pretty good feel of the kind of player that Dyson Daniels is. Moving on to some of Dyson Daniels' strengths as a prospect. First up, I want to talk about his point of attack defense, which is very solid. He's a very sound, very disciplined defender. He has good footwork laterally, which allows him to stay in front of some of the quicker guards that he has played against so far during his G League career. And he also has a very strong lower body, which means that when ball handlers try to attack him and kind of try to bully him down low, try to push him around down low, try to lower their shoulders and kind of just attack him, kind of try to move him out the way. His strong lower body just prevents that from happening. He also has a very solid core, which allows him to stay upright as well. So he's able to not only defend certain post ups or defenders trying to barrel him through, but he's also just able to maintain his ground on the perimeter and just play solid defense on ball, which is very impressive. Again, when you consider his length and his wingspan as well, he's just able to stay in front of a lot of different players on the perimeter, and that's a very valuable skill set to have as an 18-year-old and a 6'7" combo guard, right? It's just very enticing to be such a sound point of attack defender as Dyson Daniels is at this point in his young career. Moving on to his strong side defense, which again is very solid. For those of you that don't know, I feel like I'd never really explain it. Strong side defense is basically just when you're one pass away. So, for example, if Dyson Daniels is on the wing and there's a ball handler at the top of the key and they attack his side, he does a great job of kind of swiping at them. Sometimes he'll garner steals that way. Sometimes he'll pick off strong side passing lanes. He has very active hands, and he also does a great job of when he's as strong side defender and someone's in the post. He does a great job of digging down at the post and still being able to get back to his man. He's gotten a number of steals that way, digging down at the post or just swiping from them from behind. And again, given how quick he is and just how big he is and how wide and how long he is, he's still able to get out and recover to his man in the event that he doesn't garner the steal. So again, you like to see that active hands, just that active. You love to see him just be active on defense, be able to garner steals that way, and you just love to see that activity from such a young player. However, another part of his defense that I really love that's extremely enticing is his abilities as a rim protector. I'm hard pressed to find another guard in this class that's a better rim protector than Dyson Daniels. I mean, there was a play I believe against the Santa Cruz Warriors where I believe it was a guard, was driving to the rim full speed, and he cocked it back, and Dyson Daniels off the vert, didn't even wind up, just off 2 feet, just jumped up, hands straight up, blocked the shot, but it was called a foul. But still, that's extremely impressive out of Dyson Daniels, and he does this a number of times, not only against guards, but against big men, he's able to just contest their shot, and it's not always necessarily blocks. He's just able to contest a lot of shots again with his length, with his discipline. Just keeping his hands up. And again, 6'7" with a 6'10" wingspan, it's going to bother a lot of people, even if you are 7 feet. And some of you might think, well, how is someone that's 7 feet, 6'10", 6'11", being affected by Dyson Daniels? I mean, Dyson Daniels is just that long and that good of a defender. His timing is great on these jumps. He always does a great job of jumping right, when either the big man or the guard, whoever's attacking the paint, is about to shoot. Again, it's just so impressive to see that from Dyson Daniels, and I love that he's able to be that rim protector. That's just another part of his game. That's just adding another wrinkle to his game. Being a good strong side defender, being a great point of attack defender, versatile point of attack defender. Now you add in being a rim protector as well. Like it's very impressive again for such a young player, and again a guy who's a combo guard, right? So you can use him in different ways at the NBA level. Moving on to his offensive side of the floor, I think he's a very good cutter. I think he does a good job of filling in lanes. A lot of times teams will play the G League night in zone. They'll kind of dare them to beat them by shooting. And I think Dyson Daniels does a great job of filling in spots on the court that aren't available, that are available. Excuse me. He does a great job of filling in, open areas, specifically around the free throw line. I really love whenever he cuts there. Whenever teams play them in his zone, whenever they play them in like a 2-3 zone, he always sees if he's a weak side and he sees that free throw line open, he's filling that in. That's really impressive again to just see that IQ from Dyson Daniels, right? He recognizes the open spots on the court and he fills them, and that's very impressive. And he does the same thing against man. He'll hit his man with a cut, get himself open around the basket, which leads me into my next point, is that he's a very solid finisher right now. I feel like he can become more polished in terms of just finishing through contact and adjusting to contact. Not necessarily, in terms of up and unders, because he's pretty good with up and unders right now. It's just a matter of, being able to take contact and still finish. I feel like that's really the only part of his finishing that needs to improve at this point. But overall, as a finisher, he's very solid right now, and he's able to finish with both hands, which is very impressive. As most of you know, this is my first, real draft process, really examining each player in their entirety, and Dyson Daniels is really one of the few players that I've come across that is able to finish consistently with either hand. For the majority of the part, most players are one-hand dominant finishers. For example, Tari Eason is mainly a right-handed finisher, and the same thing with a Ty Washington, right? But Dyson Daniels truly is able to finish with either hand. He's able to finish regular layups with his right hand, inside layups with his right hand, high over the glass with his left hand, regular finishes with his left hand, up and unders with his left or right hand, right? And that's just very impressive, and that's just not something that you see from 18-year-olds, right? And again, just his cutting with the finishing, you love to see that, right? And my final point is that he's just an unselfish player, and this kind of ties into, but he doesn't do too much. Like, he's not necessarily a great pick and roll. He's not necessarily a great pick and roll player right now. Most of his assists just come off of just being unselfish, making that extra pass, and he kind of recognizes his role on the court. Usually he's playing with Jaden Hardy or Scoot Henderson, and he kind of recognizes that he's second to those guys, right, in terms of the packing order for Ignite. With that, right, that's going to be the role he's going to play at the next level. So I feel that it's great for him to be able to recognize that, and he's like, all right, I'm going to play my role, and I'm going to play my role to the best of my abilities. That doesn't mean that he doesn't try to score. He still goes out there and tries to score, and sometimes he is successful in getting his, as you guys can see through these highlights. But it's very impressive to see him recognize his role and be able to sacrifice and be able to play a role that he will play similarly in. So again, I'd love to see that unselfishness from such a young player. Moving on to Dyson Daniels' weaknesses as a prospect. First off, I want to talk about his weak side defense. Now, while he has shown some flashes of being a pretty solid weak side defender, I feel like some of the early film that I did watching him, I felt like he was relatively solid a weak side defender. I feel that just overall, like as I watched more and more film, I saw more and more times of him falling asleep, which often led to him getting, either backdoored or just even face cutted, or just there being like a play going on where he would just get caught up, in the screen just because he was ball watching, or just not being able to make the correct, rotation and, either contest, a shot or just, get a hand on the ball. Which I feel that, for as good of a strong side defender as Dyson Daniels is, I feel like there's no excuse for him being, as inconsistent of a weak side defender as he is. And I feel like a lot of that is just him, falling asleep and ball watching, which I think that it can be improved on, especially when you consider how high of an IQ he has. So I feel like it will get better, but, it's something that he will have to address right away. Just to become a much more complete overall defender and see a lot more minutes on the NBA court, since I feel like a lot of his weaknesses just have to do with his offensive game, which, speaking of the devil, my next point is just that his handle needs work. I don't feel like it's necessarily bad, but it's definitely raw right now. There's a lot of times where if his defender just, puts pressure on him, he's liable to cough up the ball or even just like dribble it off his foot or something like that. Which, isn't good. If you're going to be a combo guard, I've seen a lot of people want, for example, my New York Knicks to draft him, and it's like, I don't want a guard that, is going to cough up the ball as soon as, he feels pressure on him, right? I just don't feel like Dyson Daniels is prepared to be, that lead guard, and his handle is part of the reason why, right? He just doesn't have that. He doesn't have enough, reaction moves in his skill set right now to be able to consistently get by defenders. And you'll also, there's times where he'll attack, a strong. If there's a strong side defender, while he's attacking, he'll panic a bit and he'll kind of like dribble out or just give up the ball, and he'll kind of just freeze up, which I feel like is something that I feel like he'll get as he gets more comfortable with the NBA game. It's something that he will improve on. However, right now it is definitely a weakness of his right now. And then moving on to another aspect of his offensive game is just his shooting. Even though the free throw numbers did improve, still the 3-point shot is concerning. And overall, I feel like his form is relatively the same from every aspect on the floor, which is something that you do like to see. That consistency. However, it's his release. He kind of like flicks the ball. He doesn't really hold his shot, and the release is just low. And there was a number of times. I'm looking at my notes right now as I speak, and there's I believe against the which games? I believe it was against either Detroit or against Santa Cruz, where I have it in my notes right here. Yeah, he made he missed 2 straight threes where his release was just low and just didn't hold the shot. And that third 3 he took, hit it. His release was a bit higher, and he held his form. That's just something that I feel like he has to improve on, and I'm not sure how much of a concern holding your shot is, just because I feel like a lot of players at this stage in their career don't hold their shot. So I feel like it's something that Dyson Daniels is going to have to work on. How much of a concern holding a shot is. Probably not all that much right now. You can probably assume that it's something that he will improve on. However, that release is something that he will have to improve on. I feel like that's the main reason why his shooting percentages are so mediocre to just outright bad when you take a look at that 3-point percentage. And I feel like his release even plays into his floaters, where I feel like his floaters are pretty hit or miss, simply because he doesn't necessarily either get enough lift on them, or he kind of just throws it up instead of like holding it up high. So I feel like just overall his release in every aspect in terms of his shooting is something that he is going to have to improve on at the next level. And finally, my last big weakness with Dyson Daniels is just his burst. He doesn't have like that burst, that second gear to really kick into, to be able to consistently get by defenders. When you compare him to another player on his team in Jaden Hardy isn't necessarily all that explosive of a player either, right? But Jaden Hardy just has a number of different moves, and Jaden Hardy is just very bouncy, which basically means that he's always just kind of dribbling around. With every dribble he kind of hops up, so then it kind of makes his man wonder, what is he going to do next, right? Is he going to drive, is he going to shoot, is he going to pass, like, what is he going to do? So he's just a significantly more crafty, creative ball handler than Dyson Daniels is. And with Dyson Daniels lacking that burst, as well as not having the handle or creativity that a player like a Jaden Hardy has, it's what are we doing here, right? It's just he's not going to be able to consistently get by defenders at the NBA level, in my opinion, just because of that. Now, don't get me wrong, he's able to attack off the catch and he's able to, rip, or if he's coming off the screen, he's able to catch, kind of use defenders' momentum against him and get to the basket, with a jab step, rip through. But overall, in terms of just creating zone shot, I just don't feel like that's something that's going to consistently happen at the NBA level. And just given all these weaknesses, with the release, the handle, the burst, I just don't see him being a self-creator at the next level. So overall, I like Dyson Daniels as a prospect, especially on the defensive side of the floor, just being a very versatile defender, in terms of being a rim protector, a point of attack defender, strong side defender. I feel like the weak side defense will get better, but it's not something that I'm going to freak out about right now. However, on the offensive side of the floor, even if he has a good cutter, high IQ, unselfish players, just the shooting, the release has to get better. No question about that. And then when you take no question about that, but when you take into account the concerns that I have with his handle and his burst, I just don't see him being a self-creator at the next level. So I see him being a very solid off-ball guard, very solid combo guard at the next level. Occasionally can run your offense, but I feel like the role that he is playing in the G League right now, where he's playing off, other lead ball handlers and Jaden Hardy and Scoot Henderson, I feel like that's the role that he is going to fill at the next level. And that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Dyson Daniels in the comments. Do you guys think he is a lottery pick? Do you guys think he's a middle of the first round, maybe end of the first round level of prospect? Let me know what you guys think about him in the comments. And aside from that, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, please share this video with a friend. I want to keep growing the channel, keep growing the community that we have here. And again, aside from that, that's the end of the video, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day and take care. Peace.